Okay, so the city of Tyzel now this evening is in a state of pandemonium. Obviously, the word has gotten out very quickly about what has gone down in the bank. The city's, the militiamen have mobilised, running that way. Crowds of civilians are fleeing because obviously these gargoyles have been running rampage a little bit. Large fight having broken out. So it's actually working in your favour, the ones of you still on your feet, as slipping away into the crowd proves to be not all too difficult. However, as Wide-Eye, you being the last to leave, look back, you see that Li Mei has kind of fallen and been quite swiftly apprehended. But you don't really have time to stop because the kind of the hulking giant of the kind of Steel Guardian is looking around for other perpetrators. So you just unfortunately have to cut your losses. Takes you maybe about 45 minutes for all of you to make it back and regroup at Malagash's old safe house.
So, assuming Wide-Eye has just caught the rest of us up on Li Mei being captured, then bugger.
We have to do something. She came back to save me. I don't think I'll be able to live with myself if we just abandoned her.
Okay.
That's provided she's still alive.
Did you look alive to Wide-Eye?
It would have been hard to tell. Obviously, Wide-Eye being a fair bit away and there being a lot going on.
It is the right thing to do, to try and get her. Either way.
Okay. Yep, so we're going after her. But, well, firstly, I don't think we can stay here either because we have to assume that Malagash got stuck in somewhere and he's probably been apprehended and he's probably going to spill the beans. So, I mean, what do we think? They're going to take Li Mei to... Well, are the guard going to take her? Is the bank's security going to take her?
I think they're likely to make a fairly big example of her, given the scale of things. I don't think we will have to listen hard before we hear where she ended up.
What do we... I mean, do we want to move quickly? Maybe we can find where they're taking her while they're taking her there? I mean, we don't really know.
If we can hear anything soon, that would be good. I am not really in the state to try and help with the rescue if I don't get some rest first.
Okay, first thing I'll do then is... Elias is going to send Lynn back towards the bank to have a look around and see if she can see Li Mei. And like, fucking hell, I don't know. Yeah, report back on what she does see.
Okay, so you open one of the windows and allow Lynn to take to the sky. It's a 10-20 minutes or so before Lynn returns, and the report she brings isn't promising. As expected, there is a lot of commotion around the bank. It seems that Li Mei has been carted off along with a now subdued Malagash. by the actual city guard. It seems that they've been taken in the direction of the magistrates' complex, which isn't obviously particularly good omen for any prospect of rescue. That is going to be amongst the most guarded places in the city.
Okay.
If Malagash has been captured as well, I don't think the safe house is safe anymore.
Yeah, he's going to roll over on us immediately.
He tried to
How,
throw us
like,
under the
for
bus. I
the
tried
length
to
of
throw him
time?
under
Sorry.
the bus.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
love lost.
He's not going to hold out under interrogation. He's just going to let it spill immediately. But based on how long it took Lynn to get back, would Lee May already be at the magistrates by now? Or
She'd be most of the way.
okay, so we're not going to catch up. Probably. I mean,
I don't think intercepting whatever they've got there
No.
is good anyway. There's going to be a lot of people there.
in a matter of minutes, hours, maybe, they're going to be flooding this area looking for us. They're probably going to have descriptions of us already because, we left guards standing, so they know what we look like.
I can give us a disguise to get out into the crowds again, or at least somewhat, although Schwan might be fairly noticeable.
You'll need a third outfit in 3 days.
Yeah.
Well, no, because you were dressed as the
Oh, it's the clerk, yeah.
as the clerk. We haven't actually
True.
given you your new
Yeah,
outfit
yeah.
yet because I picked it up while you were at the bank.
Yeah, because we went early because I was working.
Yeah. And then, well, thankfully, by the time we needed to leave, it was already evening, so you managed to get out without being
Yeah.
exposed to sunlight, I guess. Yeah, it was like was it a tricorn hat and something else? I can't remember what it was I picked up for you now.
Yeah, there was like a face mask maybe built into it or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
What we're hearing is that Juan's really, really good at just trusting the process for other people to shop for him in a way that I could never.
Yeah.
Just that confident that you can pull off whatever.
Yeah. It's like, it's a tough style, but I got it.
Okay.
Wide-eye, roll me a perception, please.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, so Wide-eye, whilst you're kind of leaning against the wall while the others do the talking, you hear a bit of a commotion outside. Looking through, one of the kind of wooden slits covering the window, you can see that the town guard are starting to, knock on doors. A few confused homeowners are, chatting to him. You can't hear the exact words, but probably doesn't take a genius to piece two and two together.
Okay.
Yeah, Wide Eye would be. He'll point it out. It's funny that the guard are around here.
Yeah, disguises. Then I think we need to get lost. Maybe we head for like the seedier side of town where maybe we won't stick out as much. I don't know. Well, I think we're already in the seedy side of town, aren't we? At Malagash's hideout. But
One evening out, I found a district where a lot of people were gambling and such. That could be a good area to head to.
Sounds good, let's go. I'll give everyone, like, some cursory makeup just to sort of throw off a little bit, but
I'll
speed.
I'll switch out of my fancy outfit back to the my old robes.
I think
and-
that's why I just taking off the disguise he had on previously work.
Yeah, that would do it.
And can we assume that in the time since we got here, Swan would have changed from the clerk's outfit into his proper new outfit?
Yeah, I think you would have had time to have done that.
Yeah.
That's a fairly sound assumption. Okay, so with a brief touch up as best you can, you guys try and obfuscate your identities and manage to slip out the back before the guards make it to the front door. Now, obviously, Swan, you know roughly where you're headed, so you lead them along, and sure enough, you guys end up in this what is quite clearly a, well, maybe not quite a mob area of town, but there's clearly more going on here than meets the eye. Even amongst all the chaos, the gambling seems to be ongoing, at least. Although quite a few of the patrons are, a little distracted by the comings and goings of the evening's events. Clearly, word has already got around quite quickly. But yeah, as well, you recognise the building that you saw last night with the again quite the imposing looking bodyguards stood outside.
Yes, we probably want to avoid that one.
Okay.
Well, anywhere heavily guarded is probably not the best choice at the moment in case anyone does recognise us.
You point out that these aren't city guards guarding it.
Oh,
They
true.
seem to be,
Yeah.
just random bodyguards for hire.
I'm gonna say the opposite. They might have they might pay for protection or something from being, invaded by the city guard. Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, this has just popped into my head, but we did just steal a small fortune. We could possibly find a thieves' gang, maybe, and pay them for some help. Promise them a share of what we've stolen in exchange for.
Didn't
helping
us
us.
getting involved with a gang of thieves cause this problem in the first place?
Well, a single thief. We don't really know who he was involved with, which is true. We might end up accidentally finding his employer, in which case maybe that might work in our favor. They might want to get Malagash back out.
Yeah, because he took the thing that they were after.
True.
I assume that's been confiscated, but
Probably.
but at the very least they might want Malagash back out of prison before he spills their secrets.
True.
Maybe they'd be willing to lend a hand, but obviously we don't have a fucking clue where we're starting with and that kind of. Malagash was always very careful not to mention an employer's name.
I'm just looking through my notes because there was a lady, and I can't remember her name.
It's who
Madame
I'm thinking.
Feng?
Yeah, that would be the one.
Oh yeah. Yep. It seems that there may be a lady called Madame Feng who has quite a wide reach in the area. I heard of people owing her a lot of money. Perhaps it is someone who could be of use to us in a time like this.
Probably.
We may also not want the publicity from
Yeah,
Ma.
and if we've just had one of her better agents captured, he may not be in the best mood with us.
Well, we don't know
Well-
if he was working for her.
Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but what other choices do we have? We're not going to be able to break Lee May out ourselves. We don't really know. Well, assuming this magistrate's court building is anything like the one in Tongguan, which we're more familiar with, then it has an anti-magic field, possibly. In which case, most of us are not going to be very effective. We probably need some help if we're
Even
going to
just
actually
going
get
to
around.
her for information might be worthwhile.
And even if we weren't thinking about trying to get Lee May out, we're probably not going to be able to get out of the city by ourselves. Every gate is going to have our faces plastered on posters everywhere, so we'd need some sort of secret way out of the city, which I imagine the leader of the underworld might know about.
Yep.
Okay. So we just go for what? The fanciest looking of these
Yeah,
guarded
well,
joints? Or does she have a place called Madame Fangs?
I would assume it's the place that I recognised where the guy was kicked out of.
Yeah, so that's is really the most prominent building around. That's the one that seems to have, at least a couple of tables even outside where people are kind of gambling. Although those ones do appear to be lower stakes. And that's the one with the two thugs kind of outside.
Okay. Let's do that then. I'll lead the way and
Sure. So as you get close, one of the guards kind of stands in your path. He gives you a kind of a look up and down. And it's just quite an uncomfortable silence as he's clearly just trying to make an assessment of your worth and whether he should let you in.
before he has too much of a chance, I'll just reach into my pouch and take out like 10 gold and slip it into his hand.
He looks at you and laughs a little bit. Huh. I think you might be in the wrong place, Sunshine. Buying round here's a platinum piece.
Okay.
This is perhaps slightly confusing because the monetary value is the same as what you
Yeah.
just given.
This is what. Okay. Well, I will do a little bit more routing, and I think I do. Yeah. Oh, I've got 5 platinum pieces in my bag, but obviously we've not sorted through what was in the bag of holding, so I'll just reach in and see if I can find enough platinum coins. Which I think we should definitely have. We scooped an awful lot of shit into there.
Yeah, so it doesn't take long to procure 5 platinum pieces. So handing those over appears to satisfy the guard, who steps aside and allows you entrance. Moving in, you're greeted first of all by a dim haze of smoke, which is quite pungent but strangely sweet in odour. You actually recognise it as being very, very similar to the stuff that was being smoked back in New Aringfleet at Aloris's Tavern. Only it seems to be smoked in greater quantity here by the looks of things. But the room itself is quite large, built to a kind of an open plan. But the entrance has like a couple of steps leading down into what is clearly the gambling pit, with a series of tables, all neatly arrayed, with clearly quite a few, judging by the clothes, well-off patrons and a number of equally well-dressed staff that seem to be, running all the games. It is lit, but it's quite dim. The ambience is clearly designed to give that kind of impression of perhaps a fairly exclusive place.
Now, I don't have an awful lot of experience with attracting the attention of a criminal kingpin. Do we just walk up to the bartender and ask?
Sometimes that can get you where you want. Other times, it's the lovely people you bump into along the way. Perhaps I could try and find our way to the correct person. Give me a minute. Let me just check this works with speech.
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah. Well, first of all, there might be signs around, like hidden in plain sight. So I'll have a look around visually first before approaching anyone.
Okay, so roll me an investigation, please.
Oh, 6.
Okay, so you don't see any obvious visual signs or any cues that stick out to you as thieves can. However, you do overhear one of the kind of pit bosses having a conversation with one of the dealers, which sounds like he's just asking about, the balance of what coinage is in that particular table's till as such. But to your trained ear, you can see that he's kind of instructing the dealer to let the guy win a couple, because it looks like he might be getting ready to leave. So it's clear to you that something underhanded is going on here.
Yeah. So I'll go to that same table. And I'll buy in for a couple of games.
Okay, cool. So you sit down and buy in with another platinum piece to start with, which buys you enough for a hand. Now, it doesn't go well for you. You quite quickly are relieved of said platinum piece. However, the guy sat next to you seems to hit a lucky strike and wins a small pile of platinum. And it seems that if he was reaching for his coat before, he isn't anymore.
So I'll make a conversation, but it's going to have like thieves' cant sort of undertones to it. Well, perhaps I should watch you some more. You seem to know the ins and outs of this. If you seem to know this place well, so could you point me to the best place to procure a drink? What with the...
Are you directing this, sorry, at the patron or the dealer?
The patron, the guy who I heard speaking in Thieves' Cant.
Well, that would have been the pit boss.
Oh, the pit boss. Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, change the tent to he had a good hand, and perhaps I should get a drink first. Could you point me to the best place?
He seems to obviously catch that you are speaking, with this Thieves' Cant to him, trying to obviously get perhaps an introduction. He kind of stops in his tracks a little bit and again kind of gives you a once-over. Well, that would depend on what kind of drink you're looking for. Are you after something strong or something soft?
Something strong to start the evening on a good note.
He kind of mulls this over. Wait here, I'll see if the barman has something that might fit the bill.
Thank you.
He disappears for a while. You watch as he kind of slips through what appears to be like a one of those kind of bead curtains over a doorway, which quite quickly obscures him from view. So you're left watching, and again, it seems that this is clearly a casino that's been up and running for a while. They're careful, of course, to make it seem that it's not completely rigged, but as you watch, you see that the house is very clearly taking quite a profit tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But after a few more moments, the boss returns. We have something that might be a good vintage for you. If you'd like to come with me, we can have a little sample.
Is this an invitation for one, or can my acquaintances come with?
He looks around for the group behind you.
One's all stood awkwardly grouped together. Sticking out like a sore thumb.
Don't worry, we can procure extra glasses.
That feels so ominous.
Thank you.
So he bids you to follow him, and he leads you back through that same door that he went. And that leads to a staircase which takes you up a floor. As you reach the top of the stairs, a couple more quite heavy-set guys, a pair of half-orcs actually, stood. But these guys aren't, dressed smartly like the ones on the door. These guys are ready for battle. They're wearing armor and they've got their weapons firmly on display. But they step aside as the pit boss leads you in. And as you enter into this next room, what strikes you immediately is the opulence of it. There are vast silk tapestries hanging from the walls with, incredibly detailed and clearly very, very talented paintings on them, depicting various scenes, mostly landscapes. But set against the back wall is what appears to be a kind of large, almost like an ottoman, but the back of it is crafted in such a way that it resembles the kind of blooming petals of a lotus flower, and the material is a deep crimson silk. However, lounged across said ottoman in a equally expensive-looking silk dress is a woman who is holding what appears to be a very large pipe. you can kind of see the embers glowing from one end. And although her demeanour is one of kind of leisurely indifference, you see the eyes in her sockets just tracing out each of you, sharp as a serpent's. So who is it that seeks for Somalia? She chuckles. Quite crude thieves' cant of yours, but it seems to have done the purpose.
A little out of practice, but if it gets the job done, it helps me all the same. We may require some assistance with the situation that we've landed ourselves within.
He takes a draw on the pipe before kind of blowing a smoke ring in your general direction. Well, it just so happens that I'm quite good at providing assistance. For the right price, of course. Wouldn't happen to be anything to do with this emerging situation I'm hearing so much about.
Well,
Yeah,
yes.
apparently a group of ne'er-do-wells decided to rob a bank. Can you imagine? You'd have to be quite the fool to do something like that.
Yes, fools indeed. And not just any bank, one of the branches of the National Bank. Very foolish.
Well, maybe they were at least successful in the thieving bit. They just didn't quite get away clean.
Erlang's going to punctuate that by coughing up a little bit of blood.
You wouldn't happen to have a doctor on staff, would you?
He looks to the pit boss and kind of nods at him. He offers you a pipe, Erlang.
Yep, Erlang's going to get involved. He's indulged in herbs before.
Okay, so Erlang, you take the proffered pipe and proceed to take a couple of hits, which, whilst not necessarily doing much for your physical condition, does at least seem to take the edge off the pain.
He's going to slump down and have a nap.
Well, you clearly didn't come to me for plasters and bandages, which makes me think that you might have left something in that vault. Something that you'd quite like back. Am I right?
Something or someone.
She puts the pipe down a little bit and actually kind of sits forward a little bit at this. Yes, now, it turns out that there's something of mine that seems to have been left in that vault as well. Something that I work quite hard to put in place, as it happens.
Well, you're the man you hired to do the job was maybe fell a little bit short, but we could possibly help each other out. Assuming the item was also confiscated by the guard, we could kill two birds with one stone.
You misunderstand me. I don't care for the man. I cared for the opportunity. And that opportunity isn't going to come again anytime soon, you see.
Right.
The bank will be... well, it was already fairly impenetrable. I can imagine now this security is only going to get tighter thanks to you. She shakes her head at that. But what's done is done. I can't profit off of that. She takes another hit of her pipe, clearly considering something. If I am going to help you, I'm going to be extracting my pound of flesh from you in compensation, as you, I'm sure, will understand.
Okay. What are we talking? How much? Bearing in mind, what we need is to get our friend back and get out of the city alive.
Well, what you're asking for is not going to come cheap, of course. To get anybody either in or out of the magistrate's complex is not an easy task. It takes time, it takes influence, it takes a good deal of luck. Even if it were possible, I would have to charge you more than I imagine you currently have on you.
As I said, we managed to get away with some loot.
She looks at you a little bit. Oh? Well, how much would you value your friend's life at?
I'll look at the others.
Who's just gonna nod.
Whatever it costs. It's kind of hard to put a figure to that sort of thing. Let's
Given
say,
the afternoon we've had, our bank balance isn't necessarily up to date.
let's say 20% of what we took.
Well, that would entirely depend on what you took.
Yes, which, well, we've been in a bit of a rush. We haven't quite counted everything out yet.
I'm
Would you have-
patient. You can turn out your pockets and count. I won't mind.
Right.
She's almost chuckling at that. She's clearly taking a fair bit of pleasure in seeing that you guys clearly don't have all too many cards right now.
How big is the room that we're in?
So it's, again, similar to the room downstairs, so it's quite sizable. I suppose for D&D purposes, you're probably looking about 30 by 20 feet.
Oh no. Oh no.
You'll just have to excuse us for a moment then while we count out our... well, what we got away with. And I'll start casting Liamon's tiny hut. And we'll create... oh no, I can't, because I've not got any third level spells left. I used them all.
Can you ritual cast it?
Oh yeah, you can.
Oh, hold on. Tiny hut. Tiny hut. I can tiny hut for us as well.
Well, it'll take me, what? So ritual casting takes 10 times as long to cast, so it'll only take
10
me 10
minutes plus the normal time to cast.
Oh, so 11 minutes, okay. It'd take me 11 minutes to cast it, and it wouldn't cost a spell slot, at least. So, everyone just be patient while I draw a big chalk thing on the floor and start, like, chanting for about 11 minutes.
Okay, this is met with disbelief and a bit of distaste as she looks at you making a mess of her lovely floor. Thankfully, it's not carpet.
We'll clean up.
But clearly curious to see where this goes, she bides her time and allows you to proceed with casting this tiny hut.
Okay, and then as I can, so with everyone, with the party inside the dome at least, I'll make the dome opaque so it can't be seen from the outside.
Okay.
And then we just start emptying our pockets onto the floor, I guess.
Okay, so you guys start to go through all this coinage. Obviously, this is going to take a fair bit of time.
Yeah. Well, every now and then I'll just stick my head out, like, still here, just counting. I know, because I think we stole some, like, bullion bar as well, so that's going to be... We'll have to try and weigh the value of that, maybe. Fortunately, we do know someone who would deal in stolen bullion, I think, don't we? Were they in
Yeah, from
Jining?
when we had the silver bars or whatever.
Was that in...
Yeah,
that wasn't...
there's a crooked jewelsmith in Jining who...
I mean, I don't know if he'd buy as much as we're carrying, but...
Was it not just someone on the road?
Yeah, it was south of Jinning, right? Wasn't it that we got shown to some... It wasn't like on the map, but it was like an area where the base of some people was or something?
Oh, before we met, or where we met earlier.
Yeah, well, that was where... Yeah, we teamed up with them to get... And we got the stolen silver bars,
Yes.
but then we had to go to the city, I think, to sell them, didn't we?
Was it?
Yeah, it was... you kind of acquired them when you were kind of working for the Brotherhood and then sold them, I believe, in Jining to that kind of jewelers, if memory serves.
But I'm assuming Madame Feng probably will take bars off us.
Yes, it's a fair assumption that she probably wouldn't be too opposed to taking gold in bullion form.
Actually, while we're doing all this as well, I'll take out that giant fucking scroll thing that I stole and see if I can examine that.
Okay, so cracking that out, you take a look at it. As ornate as it is, it doesn't appear to be locked. Clearly, this is a display piece rather than a security item. Clearly,
It was being held in a vault, I guess.
What was clearly, yes, designed to serve that purpose. So you open it and take a look. The scroll inside is almost equally as ornate as the case it was carried in. This isn't something trifling that you might be able to find in a market stand by anyone's stretch of imagination. And as you read through it, Elias, you can piece enough of it together to realise that this is a scroll of gate, which you, of course, would know is quite a powerful spell.
Okay.
And by powerful, I mean 9th level.
Holy.
And that would be exceedingly rare. Like, this would probably have been written in the hand of one of, at some point, the past heads of the Jade Brotherhood. Kind of rare.
Well, that's our bargaining chip.
As I kind of touched upon previously, the weave here, it runs wider but shallower, so more people can access things like cantrips and 1st and 2nd level spells, but anything, kind of above 4th or 5th requires a hell of a lot of training. Far beyond the scope of most people's magical abilities.
Well.
And obviously to be magically uninitiated, they may not quite appreciate the full value of it, but it would give them a very powerful tool.
Sorry, I'm just adding it to my spell list so that I can throw it into the chat.
I'm assuming this is what they used to create the whole system with the keys and the portals.
There we go. Spell scroll gate. That's not me casting it. I'm just saying that's what it does.
Use it straight away. It's a way out the city.
Elias has a bad habit of reading things aloud and accidentally casting.
So for everyone else's sake, that's what it does. It has to be on a different plane of existence. So I can get us out of the city, but we wouldn't be in the same plane.
Uh,
That's nice this time of year.
Well, I can use it to summon someone else from another plane.
do we know anyone on another plane?
Nope. Well, someone else might, and it might be very valuable to them.
I mean, actually, technically
I know
you do.
this cat.
Oh yeah. What if you summoned him and then pulled the body out the box?
I don't
Well,
want to think about what would happen, and the paradox that we might accidentally create a giant vortex appears and sucks us all into oblivion. Uh, okay, right. So we've got that, which is, I don't know, we can choose to reveal that, I guess, maybe, but maybe it's something we keep hold of just in case. I don't. Let's figure out how much we've actually stolen.
Yeah, so obviously with a hasty exit, you didn't quite grab perhaps as much as you would have liked, but given the circumstances, probably more than might otherwise have been expected.
What was it?
Well, I know, Zwan, you grabbed 2 stacks of platinum coins on your way out.
Yeah. Put them in my pockets.
But then before that, we spent some time just stuffing things into the bag of holding.
Yeah, so you would have had time to grab probably about maybe 1,000, 2,000 platinum pieces. Go 2,000.
2,000 platinum? So, was there anything else, like the bullion or anything? Did we actually not grab any of that? I can't remember.
3's here and just keeping it.
Oh, right, okay.
Neat. Just go with that.
That's the total value then, minus whatever the case of the spell scroll might cost. But yeah, maybe we can find a jeweler we could sell that to, because it was made of. Was it made of jade or something?
It was incredibly ornate. You wouldn't have too much difficulty finding a buyer for that. A lot of people would want it, but see, you might need to sell it to somebody who would appreciate a spell scroll case to get the full value.
Well, yeah, probably. Oh, okay. So, I mean, it's a lot of money to us. We don't really know if it means anything to Madame Feng. how much of it do we offer to her, bearing in mind that it's a lot of money.
Well, do we ask her how much she would charge?
I think this is one of those things where we have to give a figure, and then she tells us if it's good enough. It's like a negotiating tactic because she has the upper hand. Therefore, the person at a disadvantage proposes the figure. So if we say 500 platinum, is that a reasonable starting position? Or is she just going to laugh in our faces?
I don't know. We don't want to start too high because if she wants to haggle, we don't have much room to negotiate.
So
500 platinum is more than I've ever seen at once, but I don't know whether it's enough or if
Yeah.
it's too much.
I mean, we don't know whatever the item she was trying to steal was worth. She probably wants something equivalent to its value, plus then the cost of all the help she's going to have to provide us breaking Lee May out. Okay, let's say 500 and go from there.
Yeah.
Okay. Or no, let's start at 250 then. I'm gonna go from there. It's just okay. Right, I've got an idea. It's okay, guys. It's fine. I'll step out of the dome.
You are the talker of the group.
Apparently, I don't know why. With the what was my charisma of 0. I'll look at Madame Feng
You don't need charisma when you got mind control.
and I'll flash the old hypnotic gaze.
Oh, hold on. We'll just roll D20 for that one. Yeah, that is gonna pass. So your hypnotic gaze seems to have little effect, if any, on Madame Feng. Her own serpent-like eyes meeting yours and holding it.
Yep. About what I expected to be. Let's say we could offer 250 platinum.
I think I'm going to risk my reputation and however many favours it would cost me to fix the damage should it go wrong for less than I take in a day here.
How much do you take in a day here?
And that would be telling, wouldn't it?
251 platinum, that's a pretty big take.
But you can do more than that.
500?
She considers that a little bit more. Well, it's 600 and I'll consider it.
$550.
I'm more than happy to let your friends meet the headman's block.
600, I think, is a fair price.
She puts down the pipe and extends a hand towards you. We have a deal.
Yeah, I'll shake her hand.
Oh, no. You misunderstand me. Kneel and kiss it. The playful tone in her voice is just completely replaced by quite a stern instruction then. Looking, you could see her eyes tell you that she's being 100% serious about that.
I'll kneel down and kiss the ring.
Very good. She gestures for the pit boss. That will be all. Relieve them of their platinum and send them from my premises.
Quickly back into the dome. I'll count out the 600 and throw everything else into the bag of holding. Which I can now say contains 2,406 platinum. Oh, and also some other stuff that I forgot we had. Like a jar of powdered dragon scale, that probably would have been worth quite a lot as well.
True.
I mean, if you wanted to butter her up, you could pass it over. We don't think we have a use for that, right?
It might be usable in some kind of crafting, but yeah, not really sure.
It's probably the kind of thing she deals with.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll fuck it. Why not? While I'm here, as well as the monetary value of what we've stolen, we have some other items you might be interested in.
She raises an eyebrow at this. Such as?
Well, I've been holding on to this for a while. Haven't really found a use for it so far, and I'll remove the jar of powdered dragon scale.
Roll me an insight, please, Elias.
Shit. Oh, this is gonna go really terribly. What the fuck?
That's, I think, actually the first time I've seen a 0 roll this campaign.
Yep.
You fumble the jar a little bit and miss any possible social cue that may have been important as you try and keep hold of it. But she looks over us. This is interesting. You're right. That is something that I would consider taking off of your hands.
How much might you value such an item?
The gestures to the pit boss to kind of step forward, which he does, and he kind of takes that from you for now and heads to a set of scales that seem to be, kind of on prominent display. Clearly, things get weighed in here a fair amount.
Oh wait, I didn't see. I forgot that it was worth 12,000 gold. Oh well, that was.
So he places a set of different weights to balance it out, and eventually finds the equilibrium point. He walks straight to Madame Fay and whispers in her ear. She doesn't react or seem to give anything away. In fact, those eyes of hers barely leave the jar. Let me think. Well, I'll tell you what. You can keep your 600 platinum, and instead I'll take this.
It's worth that much, really.
She nods. I have a few contacts who might be interested in buying it.
Table talk planning. I've had an idea which could go well or could go horribly.
Half the
We
court.
we could give this to her as a quite expensive gift. If we're able to get this without your help, think of what we could get you with your assistance and like backing.
Hmm.
It's an expensive gamble because she may just go, "Great, thanks for the really expensive goods. Now get the fuck out of here." But alternatively, she may end up being a quite valuable ally, which we are in pretty short supply of lately.
I put a vote for just give it to her. Yeah.
Well, we might be able to get more from her. Some other things, maybe, as well as her help. You know.
Yeah, as part of the like agreement of us working together.
Yeah, if it's worth enough for us to say, just leave your platinum, I'll take this, then we might be able to leverage a little bit more out of it.
So I'll say this to Madam Feng. With this exchange, I would hope that not only is all forgiven for the unfortunate interruption to your business transaction, you will provide us with all the help we need to get our friend out and get us out of the city. And perhaps it ensures we stay good friends in future, should we ever meet again.
If we're able to get this without your assistance, imagine what we could get that would benefit both of us if we were to work together.
Please don't mistake us for fools. The bank robbery may have went sideways, but we're very capable of getting our hands on all sorts of things. The bank opportunity was really just a spur of the moment thing. Malagash approached us and we agreed to do it. We planned the whole thing in less than a day, really, so it's quite surprising that we got,
some might say.
Yeah, it's quite surprising that we got out as well as we did. If we'd had actually a longer time to plan it, maybe we could have done a little bit better. But don't just dismiss us, certainly. We have a potential very valuable relationship in future.
You give this spiel to Madame Fang, and she sits there for a moment, reclining once more in her chair. You can see that she's clearly weighing up the pros and the cons of what you're suggesting. Obviously, that you've first of all got into the vault and managed to get something out of it is probably more than a lot of people would manage, and you have somehow also managed to acquire a jar of powdered dragon scale, which that might be something that perhaps would be fairly easy to get hold of if you were, I say fairly easy, it'd still be very difficult, but it would be more likely to get hold of it if you were, say, in the west of the Empire, like Tongguan or Kinmen. But to have that same jar of powdered dragon scale all the way over in Taizao is a much more impressive feat. So she's given her pause for thought for a moment. But she does eventually speak up again. Very well. I will help your friends and I will make sure that you get out of the city. But it might be the case that we do business in the future should such an opportunity present itself.
I would look forward to such an opportunity. But I suppose we should probably concentrate on the present. How exactly are we going to get our friend out?
You are going to do exactly nothing. I will get your friend out for you. I've seen exactly what happens when you get involved with my plans. So for this one, you're going to sit this out. But don't you worry. I've given you my words, and that will be good enough. You'll soon see.
Thank you for your benevolence.
Elias keeps a thought to himself, but this is far from benevolent.
Hey, she's freeing her for us. I'm trying to get on her good books.
And once you have our friend out, and we're out of the city, well, you can do all of that without drawing too much attention.
I can do all of that and a good deal more, should I choose.
Okay. We'd be... Well, I suppose we should leave you to it. Do you have somewhere we could stay in the meantime?
One of my men will point you towards a tavern where the barkeep knows better than to ask too many questions. Your friend will be returned to you there.
Okay. Well, until we meet again. It's been a pleasure.
She gives you the slightest of nods before the pit boss starts to escort you guys back down into the main gambling hall below. So, as you guys emerge back into the streets, you're kind of pointed towards a very shady looking place. And sure enough, when the barkeep is told in no uncertain terms by what is clearly more than Madame Fang's pit boss, clearly he serves some other purpose in her organisation, given the way the barkeep reacts to his presence, you guys end up with a couple of rooms with, yes, the absolute minimum of questions being asked. Okay, so meanwhile, Lee May, you have woken up in what can only be described as probably the most miserable jail cell you've ever been in, and you've been in a few. This is clearly designed as, very, very cruel and unusual punishment territory. It's a tiny cell. You can barely really kind of, lay down and stretch yourself out. The floor is wet, despite it being completely enclosed in a room. Clearly, that has been done deliberately. And what's more is it's all very cold. And you have absolutely no bedding to speak of. So, coupled with your very, very injured state right now, as you will be for game purposes on a single hit point, you've not had many worse mornings than this. But as you kind of sit up, you can see that in the cell opposite you is Malagash, who is clearly conscious and in a much better state other than perhaps the telltale signs of a sound beating. Bruises already kind of swelling up on his face. But you have no idea what time it is because there's no windows or any source of natural light. In fact, the only thing kind of illuminating the cell block is a very faint torch in a sconce quite a way down the hall. You're finally awake then.
Yeah, do you know what time it is?
He shrugs. Why, you got somewhere to be.
Yeah, actually, it's a meeting with Death. Yeah, just, probably in a couple of hours, Who knows?
Yeah, well, if we're lucky.
What? Wait. What?
Oh, I just think that's very optimistic of you that you think they're going to just kill us in a matter of hours. No, I thought it would take longer than that.
Oh.
Must be nice to have such a rosy outlook on life.
Ah, yes, because Death is such a rosy outlook.
It'll seem it in a couple of hours' time.
What do you think they're gonna do to us?
He shrugs. Well, they've got quite a few nasty ways of having their fun. And I'm sure they're not going to let us just go quickly. They'll want to make examples of me and you.
Yeah, I thought we'd be hanged or something. But I
Won't
guess
count
it's
on it.
worse than that. Oh, good. I'm so excited.
So he just shrugs a little bit, but before you can really say anything else, a kind of grating of metal is heard, and a series of heavily clad footsteps come into earshot before you see what appear to be several guards, all kitted out in armor and with weapons that were ready. But they open the cell doors, and you two are both manacled very, very quickly and very professionally. Clearly, these guys are quite experienced at moving prisoners. But you're marched out of the dungeon and along a series of corridors before you end up in what appears to be a courtroom. It's not a huge one. Clearly, this is just a fairly minor building in the whole complex. But you can see that there's a bench across from the dock where you guys are remanded in custody, and a couple of administrators are sat waiting. And you're kept waiting for about 20 minutes or so before a door opens and everybody kind of rises. And you recognise the official, kind of garb of a magistrate, although you don't obviously know the name of this particular one. But you're forced to kind of listen as your offences and what you're convicted of are read out before you. You're not even given a chance to defend yourselves before the magistrate rules that you are guilty and are sentenced to a very public, very brutal death. To be carried out
Not
as soon as possible, really. Probably the next morning, he reckons, given the headman's current schedule. There's no jury, there's no chance for you to make any statements. It is a very open and closed case. You imagine that this outcome was decided obviously long before you were even brought into the courtroom, and it's really just a formality, but you see no protest from Malagash. He's clearly resigned himself to this. But
Yeah, I won't say anything because that won't be wise with it. So. No.
I mean, you're already sentenced to death.
Don't tempt me, Crispy.
Yeah, all that you can change at this point is probably the timeline of that sentence.
Yeah.
But Zara, is that the Lee May way?
She would probably. Okay. She would probably perk up and just say, "Can I at least have one last drink?"
The magistrate looks at you. Did any of the men you just killed get a last drink? No, I didn't think so, did they? Take her to a cell.
Drink of blood, maybe. She says that under her breath.
So, the magistrate, thankfully for you, didn't catch that last bit, so you are escorted back to your cell, and you are left to spend a very uncomfortable evening, or what you assume to be evening. It's quite hard to tell, the time seems to pass slowly, but obviously, Lima, you won't necessarily know what has become of your comrades either. I suppose the last time you saw them, they were all in, fairly bad condition themselves, if we're being honest.
I'm assuming, I think Lime would assume, as they're not here with her and Malagash, that they're at least not in captivity yet. Are there other cells there?
There are other cells, but your two are the only ones that are occupied.
Yeah, I think that would give her a sense of relief, almost, because she would know if they were also having the same sentence, they would be in there with her. So, in a way, she's kind of like, as long as they're okay. She's kind of resigning herself.
Okay, so you are left to your own devices for an indeterminate amount of time. Malagash is awful company. He's kind of retired into his own little headspace. Obviously not really seeing much point in the small talk anymore.
Oh, I am going to ask him one thing.
Uh-huh.
Who did you work for?
He looks at you for a moment and then kind of shrugs, as if to say it didn't really matter anymore. Well, I'm a freelancer, really, but took on this particular commission from the Crimson Lotus clan.
I don't recognise that name. Are they a big thing here?
Yeah, you could say that. They're pretty successful in this part of the world.
Well, did you get what you needed?
Well, I did, before you guys locked me in the bloody vault.
Well, I didn't know that happened. So, excuse me. It was very chaotic. Okay.
He shrugs. Yeah, you can say that again. Now, as the silence then kind of sets back in, you watch as Malagash just drifts off a little bit. I imagine this might be a time for Lime to do some perhaps reflection on how things have gone in her life so far.
Well, she freed her captain, and she hopefully freed her friends, and that's like the most important thing to her. So she's just resigned herself. She'd rather it be her. So she kind of taps her side for her whiskey bowl, and she can't. It's not there. Very upset.
Yes, perhaps the alcohol withdrawal will kill her before the executioner gets a chance. Who knows?
Oh yeah,
But,
definitely.
your melancholy is interrupted by a sound of a door opening. So, expecting kind of a similar treatment, You can see a duo of guards are entering. Again, they're all kitted out in full armor. And they stop just shy of the cages. One of them kind of looks around, kind of assessing obviously you and Malagash being here, before reaching into his cloak and pulling out a set of keys. He starts to unlock your cage and beckons for you to get on your feet.
Oh, it's at that time already. All right. She kind of holds her hands out for the shackles, expecting.
They kind of slap the shackles onto your wrists, making sure they're nice and tight and you're not going to slip free of them. But as they make their way to go, one of the guards stops and turns to the cage where Malagash is obviously kind of now awake and watching. Madame Feng does not tolerate failure. And before you can really do anything, you watch as this guard kind of pulls what appears to be a bamboo pipe out from underneath his cloak and brings it to his lips. There's a kind of a whooshing sound, followed by, a gasp. And as you look, kind of Malagash is kind of shocked, his hands going up to his neck, where you can see the brightly coloured feathers of what appears to be a poisoned dart sticking out of his throat. The guards, they don't seem to give him the dignity of staying to make sure he actually dies. They turn around and quite quickly start to walk you, still in shackles, up out of your cell.
Hey, isn't he... What?
Shut up, don't say a word. This is going to be very, very hard to pull off, and we need to avoid raising suspicion. Do as we say and what we instruct. You might just make it out alive.
Yes,
Guards start to take a brisk pace as they bring you through the various corridors leading through this this kind of administrative center of the city. Now, a lot of the talk of the town would have been on what's happened, so people know that you've been sentenced to death. So very few people are keen to cross your path, as superstition has it that it would be quite bad luck, which works in your favour as it happens. But instead of taking you to presumably where the executioner would ply his trade, you find yourself very quickly being taken towards a stable. So, as you arrive, one of the guards, starts to ready a couple of horses. The other one checks that nobody's around, and then before you know what's happening, he gestures for you to climb into the back of a cart.
I do it immediately.
So, stepping up, Li Mei, you're met with quite a morbid sight. The back of this cart is full of corpses, and judging by the marks on their neck, these have been executed by hanging, and judging by the states of decay, not all of them recently. Get in there, hide amongst them, don't make a move.
Okay. She immediately just gets over it, because she's not had worse, but she's been in bad situations, so she can deal with this.
Okay, so it's not a pleasant experience. The smell alone is awful. but hopefully it will stop you from becoming one of them. So you do your best to stay nice and still and quiet. So you can hear the sounds of the wagon wheels going over the cobbles as the guards, or well, you presume they're probably not guards, as it happens, start to drive this cart out towards the gates of the magistrates' complex. Now, when they get there, they're stopped, and you can kind of hear them making some conversation with the guards posted to the gatehouse. Yeah. Tell you what, you guys have got it lucky. Just sat here on the gate. We've got to go and take this bleeding lot over to the cemetery. He does quite a good job of it. You can see as the people on the gates don't really make too much effort of inspecting. Not that you were probably at risk of them taking any particular deep delves into the pile of corpses. But you stay nice and still and quiet as they give a cursory glance over the pile. But after what feels like a very long few moments, you're sent on your way. Now, it does take a while because they are actually taking you to clearly a burial ground of sorts. But eventually they bring the wagon to a stop and help you out from your fellow passengers. Alright, now we'll get you a fresh pair of clothes. One of them pulls out a shovel and starts to dig. There's a kind of freshly dug grave, clearly, which has just been filled in, and he's digging there. But the spade quite quickly strikes wood, and there's a box underneath. Clearly, this has been placed here in advance as he pulls it out and unlocks it, revealing a fresh set of very plain civilian clothing. He also has a razor, I'm afraid, Lee May. As part of your disguise, he actually shaves your head completely. And then he starts to apply quite a convincing makeup, but by the end of it, you look like a leper. And this is very much by design. There you go.
Oh
Nobody should get near you now. Just act nice and pitiful when you walk through the streets. You want to go to the tavern by... Well, do you know where the Crimson Lotus hideout is?
Do I?
You probably wouldn't at this point. Right, okay.
No.
Tell you what, follow behind us, but keep it nice and discreet. Leave it about 30 meters or so.
Okay.
Okay, so like this, you follow these guards as they pretend to patrol the streets, and you follow along like a leper, occasionally, throwing in the old begging acts, and as expected, all the townsfolk give you a very wide berth, very few stopping to look at you. It's a very good disguise, actually. And it takes about 20-25 minutes to reach this tavern. But you're soon whisked inside where you can drop the act. And sure enough, the rest of the party, you guys are obviously kind of sat around waiting for Madame Fang to deliver, when this stranger walks in, who appears to be a leper. You don't recognise her at first without her locks of hair. But her mannerisms very soon give her away.
Oh my god, they've done it.
Lee May!
Lee May kind of just holds her hands out as if to say, "Come here." She can't really speak. She's just kind of gobsmacked. This is actually happening. She was going to be dead.
You
A
get
while ago.
Satia coming at you at Mach 4.
Yeah, Elaine's gonna come and give a hug as well.
Yeah.
She hugs you guys tightly, and just goes, ah, where the fuck am I?
Relative safety.
I imagine probably better than where you were an hour ago.
Yeah. They killed Malagash.
Oh.
The people who brought me here.
Yeah,
Oh.
not surprising. I suppose they didn't want him talking.
Yeah, they said something along the lines of, she doesn't accept failure. Whoever that is. Madam Feng?
Yeah.
Meet
Doesn't
our
ring a
new
bell.
potential. Oh,
No, sorry. Yeah, we have a new friend.
meet our new business partner, Madame Feng.
Oh god.
When you were captured, we knew we needed help of the criminal variety, so we made a deal with
The
the
devil,
local.
it sounds like.
Well, maybe.
She-
Also,
she-
turns out that she was the one who hired Malagash. So, yeah, killing him was probably in return for failing to steal the item he was hired for.
Definitely not our fault.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't have got out anyway.
It didn't sound like he was keen to do it alone, so.
I just think maybe we didn't have to betray him, but well, it's done.
Well, I think
Well,
he's
I
probably
imagine. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say he's probably had a nicer death than what he was going to receive, so maybe it's a blessing from her in a way.
Oh.
Sounded like the guy was going to be given quite a stretch and everything else. So,
How
yeah.
kind of her.
Yes, how kind of her.
They wouldn't have shown him Quarter, they would have shown him 4. Yeah.
That's the, I suppose, the employee benefits of working for Madame Feng is a swift death should you end up in prison.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
we've managed to barter ourselves friendship of sorts.
Oh, yeah?
Friendship's not the right word. A business
Alliance?
transaction. Alliance, maybe.
How much was
I
I
don't
worth?
Oh, just that jar of powdered dragon scale that's been rattling around inside my bag for the last few months.
Not much.
Hey,
Don't let it go to your head.
yeah, I was usually like, oh, wow.
It's not like we were doing anything else with it, really.
I bet
mean,
that on a letter's
potentially.
face is quite the look.
Yeah.
Swan won't
Potentially,
mention that we
we've just opened up a really nasty can of worms by introducing an extremely restricted, controlled magical substance into the realm. But I think we're
That's the
beyond the
realm's
point.
problem.
Yeah.
I think we've established by now that what's good for the realm isn't necessarily what's good for the party.
That's the realm's problem. We're the realm's problem. We now work together.
We're just introducing a bit more chaos into the everyday, you know?
Oh yeah, love it. Well, thank you. I was fully reflecting on everything and prepared to die, so thank you. I'm so glad you guys are all okay-ish.
Oh yeah, we're
You guys-
still feeling a bit rough, probably. We've not really seen a doctor. Well, Erlang smoked some pipe hash, but
Yeah, his Erlang's still like high from there.
Yeah, they had a long rest or no, Crispy?
None of you have had a long rest just yet.
Okay.
Have we had a short rest?
Thematically, you guys probably would have had one while you were waiting, but given that you're going to have a long rest now, doesn't
Okay.
really make too much difference.
Superior
Because-
of the rest.
Madame Feng's passage for you out of the city won't be until morning.
Thank God.
So we can get some sleep before we get smuggled out. I assume maybe we're going out looking the same way that you do.
That might be the plan. But
Well, at least Wide Eye's already bald.
yeah.
Maybe they'll make you shave your facial hair.
Oh God.
That's a truly horrifying
luck.
prospect.
Good luck to them.
Yeah, they seem to have done this before because they knew what they were doing. So, yeah.
Don't think Madame Feng got to where she's at now by being incompetent.
Mm,
Which is
I agree.
in our favour, I suppose.
On another note, we got away with. I'll make sure to definitely keep this on as to a whisper. 2,000 platinum.
Oh,
Do you whisper that to all of us or just me?
Well, yeah, we all counted it together, so we all know that.
Yeah. Cool. Lee May's just gonna kind of look at you and be like, oh shit. Fuck.
That
Can
should.
buy
well,
a
yeah.
ship with that.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, you've already got one ship. It's
Kinda, yeah.
a little bit crap. But,
Yeah, we've got
I-
first ship,
I have a
but
pretty decent
what
small
about second
fishing
ship?
fleet. Or maybe we could fix the first ship.
Sorry, did you say ship or shit?
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Same.
Right, let's get some rest. Because who knows what we've got ahead of us now.
Well, yeah. I guess we'll find out. To bed.
okay, so you guys take a well-needed long rest in a setting that is not necessarily the most comfortable you've ever stayed in, but it is at least seemingly secure. So apply all those, make sure that you're back to where you need to be. And that is where we are going to call tonight's session, and we will pick this up next week.